Hello, Steelers Nation, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Steel City Insider podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Ritz, alongside publisher of the Steel City Insider, Jim Wexell, and today we welcome back Mike Prisuta of the DVE Morning Show to the show. And gentlemen, let's talk about the big Steelers win over the Bengals. The Escalooser was in full effect this past weekend. Lots to be excited about on that offense, concerns on the defense. Let's jump into it.
I liked somebody tweeted a picture of the Escalooser and said, Cincinnati's renegade.
I guess I'm looking at the glass half full, Jeremy, but I wasn't too concerned about the defense. I thought they did just fine until the last couple of drives. Got a little sloppy with a 17-point lead, and it got a little closer than it needed to at the end. But to me, the revelation was that they came out throwing. They threw on 15 of the first 20 offensive snaps. I think they threw on 30 of the first 42 offensive snaps. They were playing the kind of game they had to play. They weren't so arrogant that they said, oh, well, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are really good, but we'll stop them just because we're us. They knew they were going to give up points. They knew they were going to have to score in the 30s to win that game. They approached it the right way, and they attacked it the right way. And I think it's game-changing. I think they did that because they trust Russell Wilson, and now they saw what can happen when they trust Russell Wilson. And, you know, maybe fewer rock fights moving forward and a few more shootouts. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you call it a rock fight. I like your usual analogies to World War I trench warfare. So, yeah, I mean, especially a rock fight that they're not good at. They're a run-based offense that can't run. So, yeah, the change to Russ throwing on first down. At one point, they were 15-7 passing on first down until they got the 17-point lead. But I worry, Mike. Can you win a Super Bowl with Tommy Maddox at quarterback?
They don't have to. I know you can win one with Russ Wilson at quarterback. It's happened.
I'm just saying, Pittsburgh, you have to have a running back.
Well, point taken. I don't think they're going to become a run and shoot team, but I just like that they put the pedal down for a change. And, Najee Harris still ended up with 75 rushing yards in that game. He wasn't the focal point, but he went over 100 yards from scrimmage, utilizing him in those short passes over the middle and the screens. I guess the pages on Arthur Smith's playbook that had all the screens on them, they must have been stuck together. He spilled some Gatorade on it at training camp, and he just kept passing over the screen pages all season. And now they remembered the screen is a legal play that is allowed to be run and often gains yardage and slows the pass rush down. So, you're going to have to talk me into feeling skeptical about what I saw against the Bengals. I've been waiting on that. It was the best offense they've played since before Ben Roethlisberger got hurt. Because when he came back from his injury, he was old, and they played Chuck and Duck, and then they played whatever they did with Mitch Trubisky and Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph, and now they got an actual NFL quarterback, and they're trying to do actual NFL things, even though they only have one actual NFL wide receiver, and they did pretty good.
I agree, Mike. And I wrote my column. I was elated myself, and that put the win total over 8.5. That gave them a 2-game lead in the division. That I had the tease on the Steelers and the over. Did a lot of things for me. I loved it, and I love the passing on first down. It gets a little hairy when they're trying to wrap it up, and they got to bring in the backup quarterback to finish the game. And then of course for the last 3 days I'm added by all the Najee freaks because he had 75 whole yards. I just don't get. I just think he's subpar. And I don't know that it works in Pittsburgh. I think you have to have a running game. And so I opened my book just to read a chapter, just to see sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not so good. And I opened it up to the 2002 season with Tommy Gunn. And that's what I worry about. Jerome Bettis, everybody wanted to throw celebrations when he gained 75 yards back in 2002 against all of us who were saying, is he too old? Is he done? And he kind of was over the hill. He finished his career as a closer, and he was a leader, a genuine leader. And they got another running back, Deuce Staley and Willie Parker. So, I mean, 2003 was a disaster because they wanted to do something in Pittsburgh that just isn't Steelers like, isn't feasible with the weather or the division. So I'm just a little worried about that. That's all.
Well, it wasn't balmy in Cincinnati. There will be worse conditions that they'll have to throw in, and
better defenses.
I think Najee runs it better than you give him credit for, but we can argue about that. I'm so sick of watching that offense that I've had to watch ever since Ben came back from injury.
Hand off to Najee on first down.
I just can't take it anymore. So anything else, anything different, and particularly when it scores in the 30s, whatever you did, keep doing it.
And Jim,
I'm with you.
Jim,
pass on first down, Russ, throw it. Include Van Jefferson if you have to.
They threw to Skoranek.
I know. Young Skoranek, his blocking paid off. He was such a good blocker that they gave him a ball. Yeah.
They did. Jim, let me just press on that a little bit. So just looking at the stable of running backs that they have right now, not just Harris, but you have Warren, and then the old man Patterson back there. Do you think just as a collective that they can contribute enough to support this pass game to make a run in the postseason, or you don't even see that?
They can make a run, but they don't have a running back. I mean, I love Warren as a 2. And I like Cordell Patterson as a 3. And I like them easing back in. But if you think you have a horse, no. It's what Mike's been watching that he hated. But now he tries to tell me that it's okay to have that back. I mean, they can't close out games with him.
Well, I hated it more because of the quarterback than the running back. I'm a Najee fan. I think he works incredibly hard. I think he's hard to tackle if he doesn't have to make 3 moves behind the line of scrimmage. I'm a little less impressed with their offensive line every week, but damn it, Jim, don't bring me down. 44 points. Only 7 of them were the defense. Let's just ride this into Cleveland and see what happens.
Yeah, but people like so much when you come on because we don't agree. So I have to keep that going. It's showman skills. Yeah. You know all about that.
I'd rather lose to the Chiefs 31-21 this year instead of 41-7.
I think they're going to beat the Chiefs. Maybe not in the playoffs, but on Christmas, I think they will. But at Cleveland, I'm a little more nervous about Cleveland than I am Kansas City because I think Cleveland's a better matchup.
Cleveland is not the joke team that a lot of people thought Cleveland was, which explains, at least to me, I got such horrific reaction after that snow globe game in Cleveland. Oh my God, they lost to the 2-8 Browns. Well, those weren't the 2-8 Browns. They're not the 2-8 Browns with Jameis Winston. They're a real offense with Jameis Winston. Now he will throw you the ball, and he did throw them the ball with 4.5 minutes left, and that should have been enough to close the game out. And the Steelers didn't take advantage of it. But that team's got receivers, and that team's got a tight end. And that team has got a lot more going for it than the record would suggest. So I don't think this is going to be a layup, revenge game. Steelers didn't take the Browns seriously. Short week, the weather, blah, blah, blah. I think they'd have to play well to win.
Well, you still have the matchup problem with those corners. Matchup with the wide receivers, Denzel Ward on Pickens, and Newsom's pretty good too. And, Delpit's pretty good. And throw everyone else at the line of scrimmage and stuff the average running game. But, I think Russell Wilson's going to have to take advantage of it in the middle of the field with Freiermuth.
Yeah, they remembered he's on the team, too.
I think they ought to remember him a little more this week.
The Freiermuth stuff must have been stuck to the screen pages that were stuck together in Arthur Smith's play sheet because that guy should be getting the ball 6 or 7 times a game. I'm not understanding why he hasn't had a bigger year. They paid him the money, and now they're not incorporating him enough. But maybe Cincinnati was a step forward on a lot of levels.
While we're on the tight ends, could we flop? Can we put Cole Pruitt as the lead fullback and Connor Hayward is some kind of playmaking receiver, stop throwing to Michael and go back to throwing. Connor made some nice plays last two
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
I don't know
problem.
where that's all gone.
He made some nice blocks, particularly on the one Fields run that got him going in Cleveland. Maybe that's what they're focused on. But yeah, I agree with you. And this isn't going to happen this year, but down the road, I'd like to see them get an actual fullback. I know they messed around with Jack Coletto in training camp, and apparently he wasn't the guy. But if you want to use a fullback, here's an idea: don't use a tight end. Don't use a big slob defensive lineman. Don't use an extra offensive line. Use an actual fullback, a guy who plays fullback and knows how to do fullback things. If you want to use it as much as they've dabbled with it, not having a fullback, it's worth the roster spot to me.
I mean, isn't there a Ricard out there? Isn't there I can't pronounce the guy in San Francisco, but I mean, bigger. Coletto was not that big. He's smaller than Connor Hayward.
You would think.
Yeah. Give Rosie Nix a call if he's still in football shape. Yeah. So unique setup here with the schedule. You got a Cleveland sandwich, right? Well, really an Ohio sandwich because they played the Browns, went into Cincinnati. Now they have Cleveland at home. And I know we touched on the offense against the Bengals, but let's talk about that defense. They did give up a lot of explosive plays there, but you have to give credit to the Bengals offense. It's prolific. Are you gentlemen concerned about the play of the defense or no?
I'm as long as they generate turnovers, I am not. I think those are a great equalizer or a great eraser to giving up yardage. Now I haven't gotten back and looked at it a second time yet, but I'm suspecting they just kind of eased up a little too soon on those last couple possessions because I think the one touchdown drive was 2 minutes and change, and the second one was 1 minute and change. But I think they're going to give up some plays. They made an adjustment and contained Burrow better in the second half, and I think that helped them when they were getting stops and turnovers and building that 17-point lead. I don't expect them to be the 85 Bears. I don't think anybody in the NFL is going to be the 85 Bears in the current climate. But if they can keep a lid on it and then get a couple 3 turnovers, they'll be giving the team what's needed from that side of the ball, particularly if they can consistently score in the high 20s.
Especially if you get Highsmith back. I mean, now on third, what was that they completed? 3rd and 17, they converted?
21.
3rd and 21. Why wouldn't you put Herbig, Watt, Highsmith, and Preston Smith in your front four, maybe even blitz on 3rd and 21? I want to see that. I like the fact that Highsmith's going to be back this week, even though Herbig and Watt's going against Jack Conklin again. That's another part of this matchup I don't like. But move Watt over to the other side. What's the left tackle's name?
Was it Jermaine Afidi?
Yeah. Be a good time to move Watt over, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was in the first meeting. I know Highsmith had the 1 sack strip, but he did not exploit what looked like the most lopsided mismatch in Pittsburgh's favor on the field nearly enough.
You mean Herbig?
Yes, Herbig. Thanks. I thought they moved Watt 3 or 4 times in the last game, and I think really that's all you have to do. Just put a little doubt. He doesn't have to play all over the place. Just move him around a little bit so that maybe a team will do what the New York Football Giants did and forget to set the protection on Watt's side because they're not 100% sure where he is. But he certainly needs a bigger game against Cleveland than he had the last time.
Jack Conklin's pretty good, man. Where'd he go to school?
He went to Michigan State University, Jim. Thanks for asking.
How about Joey Porter Jr. called for 6 penalties, 4 were accepted, a little grabby. I know that's part of his game. He's a physical cornerback. Do you think that's something that we have to worry about being a trend and teams are going to try to exploit that? Or was this just a bad game?
I think teams have already been exploiting that. I think it's up to the officials who want to call it. But I don't know. Is Tomlin making a play for T. Higgins next year in free agency with all his compliments?
Oh my God, he should be next year's Patrick Queen, Higgins. I never understood. We're getting off point here, but allow me just a little wiggle room. I never understood why in free agency you didn't attack the teams in your division.
Right.
Make yourself stronger and make them weaker at the same time.
Good
Plus,
point.
you get all that inside info and everything else. Yeah, apparently they went up to Patrick Queen last year and said, "What's it going to take?" And he told them, and they said, "Fine." I'd do the same thing with T. Higgins.
Right.
But as for this year and Joey Porter, I don't know if you guys heard Tomlin's analogy today. He was talking about how physical T. Higgins is, and he said, "If we're going to play Shaq, we're going to use all our fouls."
I like that.
I got a kick out of that. He didn't want Porter getting pushed off the block. Yeah, it's a concern. It's been a concern since Joey Porter came out of Penn State, but he's pretty good. Is he going to get a flag once in a while? Yes. Live with it. I don't think he's going to get 6 penalties a game the rest of the games.
Well, Hockey is a little bit over officious.
He's an over officious jerk, you might say, if you were Marv Levy.
To quote the great Marv Levy, that's right. I
Yeah.
used over officious to a doctor last week. Yeah.
And
Seen a lot of doctors, appointments. I got jobs, appointments, all kind of stuff. So pardon me if I'm a little late for the podcast every now and then.
all good, Jim. All good. And considering the wide receiver tandem that they faced against the Bengals, if you look at their remaining schedule, other than playing the Bengals again at the end of the year, and even just, I don't want to jump ahead and start looking at the playoff teams in the AFC, but I don't know if they're going to face a group that formidable for the rest of the year or even in the postseason. Higgins,
I don't know if there is one. I mean, A.J. Brown's going to be a handful in Philly. Mahomes seems to make everybody productive at the right time. I keep hearing about how good Baltimore's receivers are, just like I keep hearing how good Baltimore's everything is. And then I watch Baltimore play, and I think, this team's okay. It's not anything better than okay. It's certainly not a juggernaut. It's certainly not unbeatable. Jeremy, the only thing I would put past them the rest of the way is winning in Philadelphia, because they never win in Philadelphia historically. And it's weird, isn't it, Jim? All these historical trends are following through this year. The Steelers, they never win in Cleveland on the Thursday night. Oh, they didn't do it. They never lose in Cincinnati. They won there. They always beat the rookie quarterbacks. They've been doing that. All these things that you look at and say, wow, that's nice, but it doesn't really apply to now. Well, they all apply to now. Steelers have had better teams than this going to Philadelphia and get their ass kicked. I think they're losing in Philadelphia, but I think every other game is winnable. I'm not saying they're going to win every game, but there aren't any where I look at them and say, no chance other than that Philly.
I agree with that. Just remember 1965, though, Mike. The 2-12 Mike Nixon team.
I had forgotten.
Beat the Eagles, forced 12 turnovers.
There you go. Turnover A.J. Brown 6 times and Saquon 6 times, and you got it.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. But you're right. I mean, I think the Ravens are going to run the table. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Steelers. Even if that happens, that's worst case, right? Steelers lose to Philly. I think they're going to beat Kansas City, and they lose at Baltimore. I think they lose their away games, win their home games. Then they're tied. Even at that worst case, Ravens run the table, Steelers lose 2. The Steelers got some tiebreaker edges that are going to be tough for the Ravens to overcome. Unless the Steelers lose to Kansas City. If they finish 2-3, I just don't see that happen. I think worst case is 3-2. So you could be looking at the division champs after this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the cherry on top of the Sunday from beating the Bengals is you probably knocked them out, and they're probably not going to care about the last game of the year.
Probably not. I mean, Joe Burrow's had wrist trouble all year. Be a nice time to give him a break, right?
They're going to show up to Acrisure Stadium, and they're not even going to shut the bus off. They're going to keep it nice and warm so they can go play the game, take their L, get back on a nice warm bus, go to the airport, and fly back to Kentucky.
Well, you hope that cornerback combo is still intact too. Josh
Oh,
Newton and
wow.
Cam Britton, something.
Taylor Britt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike Hilton, he couldn't cover when he was good.
Yep.
And he's not good
He's older.
anymore.
He's
Yeah.
older.
So
Catches
here's
up, catches up with all of us, Jim. Time.
I know. I
so
know.
here's a question for you guys. Is that one seed off the table, or do you think that do you think there's a chance they can snag it or no?
I don't. I just Kansas City's. I'm with Wex. I think the Steelers can beat the Chiefs, but something always happens in a Chiefs game, except one time, and they end up winning. They're probably going to win 15 or 16.
Oh man, it could happen. If they beat the Chiefs and they have the tiebreaker, it could happen. I've been waiting for the Chiefs to fall off the cliff all year. I only got 3 or 4 weeks left, 5 weeks.
I
Maybe
don't
they're
know if
waiting
it's just maybe they're postseason.
postseason.
I think they've been kind of bored with it by now, and they're going to turn it on in the playoffs. But maybe that's a slippery slope, and they go to turn it on, and it doesn't start right away, and they get knocked out in the first round. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that team other than it always wins, except that one time.
Yeah. And just to go back,
Buffalo looks pretty good.
yeah. But just to go back to Philadelphia too, I'm well aware of that that tradition there of losing in Philly, but going back to the last time they won the Super Bowl, that '08 season, they played in Philly. Wasn't Roethlisberger sacked like 8 times?
Yeah, that's the number.
Yeah,
8 times.
so they could lose in Philly and still get it done, right?
Hey
I
guys,
remember going around the locker room talking to the linemen. What's wrong with you guys? When are you going to pull it together? How's this going to? And that started the Ben being on their side, and which culminated in the Super Bowl. Who's laughing now, O line?
all I know is they're not the first people to get mugged in South Philly, and they won't be the last.
Oh man. Well, we got the Browns before we have the Eagles. Anything else you guys want to hit on here before we wrap up?
I'm just I want to make sure that everybody is clear how elated I am that they came out throwing and not to establish the run and control the ball and the clock. I get why they were doing that stuff when the quarterback was Trubisky and the quarterback was Pickett and the quarterback was Rudolph, but it's not that's not the quarterback anymore. And thank God they have embraced that. I thought that game was a revelation in Cincinnati. I think it's going to be a whole new ball game down the stretch here, and I think they have not been this close to legit contending status. I'm not saying they're going to win it or anything, but this trip to the playoffs has a chance to be much more than go up to Buffalo and lose by 14, go to Kansas City and lose 40 something to very few, play Cleveland and get pounded. This is as close as they've been since before the Roethlisberger injury, and it's compelling to me. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Totally agree, Mike. And that was my column Monday morning.
Oh,
Totally agree.
oh, cool.
Totally agree.
I didn't read it and steal that. I was.
Oh
unaware.
no. No, Mike, you're the last one who steals anything from anybody. In fact, if you would have read it, then you might have changed your mind and gone against it. I know how you think. I mean, you're definitely a unique soul. I don't think you even read other people's stuff at all. But I agree with you totally. I think the pass will open up the run a little more. And also, what were those things Russell Wilson was doing at the line of scrimmage? It was like he would pull out and yell other things at the other players. And
it was almost like the play they called in the huddle. They decided to run something different.
what is that?
That's what it looked like, didn't it?
What do you?
Is that illegal? Are you allowed to do that? And I think it's going to look dramatically different. I really do. In Russ, they trust, Flex.
You going to watch Hard Knocks tonight, Mike?
I'm not. I don't get HBO anymore. I don't have my satellite anymore because the NFL went off DirecTV. So now I have all these streaming services, but I don't have Max or HBO, and I'm not getting it just for that. I would if I had access to it, I'd watch it, but I've always watched it before. I'm not going to watch it now. I'm not ordering one more effing service to get bled to death $9.99 a month or $15 a month or whatever it is. I mean, my retirement is going down the drain so I can watch television now. I don't even know what I'm paying for, but I know I'm not paying for that.
Well, that's a better rant that I threw the softball up for you to hit out of the park by saying absolutely not.
Oh.
And then Jeremy could say, well, that's a good place to end, just like Bert did today.
Well,
no, that was better. You were better, Mike. But I'm not going to watch it either. I'm going to the Allman Brothers family reunion tonight in Greensburg.
Really?
You know that show, right?
That sounds like a way better use of your time.
Yeah, it's at the Palace Theater. Greg Allman's son and Dickie Betts' son are combining, and then they're bringing up dignitaries, great blues players, great guitarists, too, in a last waltz fashion to play Allman Brothers songs. Yeah.
Let me know if at any point in the show you get up and go get a Coke and a hot dog and then go to the bathroom and come back and they're still playing In Memory of Elizabeth Reed.
No, they're still doing the drum solo in Elizabeth Reed. That was the best tip I ever gave you, man.
That's a long ass song, boy. You want to win the time of possession battle, crank up In Memory of Elizabeth Reed. It's over.
Great stuff.
Sorry, Jeremy. I gave a talk today at the Rotary Club on the Steelers, the history of the Steelers, to promote my book. They're all looking at me the way Jeremy's looking at me now.
I think he's frozen.
Ready to go to sleep.
I think he's frozen.
Am I frozen?
Oh, he's frozen. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Make sure you check out Jim's book. We're going to have that linked in the show notes. And
anyway, that's how they all look today.
Yeah, you are mesmerized.
Yeah. Well, let's bring it home. We're going to wrap it up here. Episode number 134, the Still City Insider podcast. We will see you back here next week, hopefully talking about a Steelers win over the Browns. Gentlemen, have a great week.
See you, boys.
Take care, everybody.